Hey fellow woodcutters, Topsaw here. Today's video is how to build a wooden ring. A couple of different ways to make the blanks. One way is you're going to measure out your ring and then just drill a hole with it and then cut it on the bandsaw, pretty rough cut like that. And then the second way is to actually cut it out on the laser like that and then glue lam the two of them together with kind of a cross grain pattern. The key to them being strong, well, it's a secret, and I'll tell you the secret towards the end of the video, so stay tuned. So step one is use ring sizes and find the right fit. And once you have that ring size, then use dial calipers to find the inside diameter, 7/0. Then you want to write that down and then see if you can find a drill bit that's going to work or cut it out on the laser. So I'm going to open up Corel Draw 2019. I start up here, I go File, New. And really the important thing here on these settings is that it's RGB. Again, you could do this with traditional tools, a drill press and a bandsaw, or you could cut on the laser. Either one will work. The real project is turning it on the lathe and getting it so it's nice and durable. So once I have that, I set my width to the size of the bed of the universal laser, 24 by 12. Then up here, I'm going to go to create a circle, which is that setting there. So 0.70 in X, 0.70 in Y. And then this is important right here. If you want it to be a cutout on the laser, you have to go in the RGB scheme. You have to go down here to 255.00. And then additionally, it also has to be a hairline. So it doesn't have to look red, it has to be identically 255.00. It's a hexadecimal system, and that is how you program the laser to do a cutout instead of an engrave. And then the line weight has to be at hairline. Now that I have that, I'm just going to click on it with the left side of my mouse, drag it over here, right click on it. This is going to be my outside diameter, and maybe we'll make this 0.95. So I'm going to set the outside to 0.95, and then I'm going to hit enter, and there's my outside diameter. I'm going to grab that, snap it center to center. There's my ring. We'll go out into the shop and we'll laser cut a couple of those out and then glue them together, then turn them on the lathe. Okay, we're out in the shop with our Universal 3.60. I'm on the computer. I open up the file from the flash drive in the Corel Draw. I go File, Print, and then from that print screen I'm going to post it or drive it to the driver. So I hit print. That's actually not going to print it. All that does is send it over to the driver for the actual laser. So there they are right there. It's going to be as much energy to make 4 as it is 2, so I might make some backups. This right here is relocate view, so I could grab it and move it around. To check the thickness of that cherry wood, and this is really important here. Under settings here, I have to set the material. It is wood, which is under natural. It is hardwood, it is cherry. And then right here, I have to set the thickness. So that was 0.175. You really can't get that wrong. So double check that thickness. I hit apply, okay. And then I'm going to put my board in there so these line up right on top of them. Then I could use this button right here to check the laser focus view. I click on that button here. I draw it to the bottom right. It'll bring the laser over there, or check light, and I can see the bottom right's going to be there, so I could see they're going to fit on there. So that all looks good. And then we'll go ahead and make sure you turn the vac on before you hit play. There they are getting cut out. Next step right now is I'm going to glue them together with super glue or CA glue and make sure they are cross grain glued to be extra strong, and then those two are a spare. Very careful not to get the glue on my fingers. I work on paper towel. Even if I glue to a paper towel, it'll come off. That looks good. Making sure that I'm cross-grained. So I just use a dowel inside a chuck That's way too small. I am going to bring the tailstock up to give it a little more stability. And then I use double-sided tape wrapped around that dowel to get my thickness I want. And that double-sided tape will also kind of help hold the ring on there and not spin. It's pretty safe. Make sure you got glasses and face shield on. Safety has to be first. Don't use the lathe unless you've been trained on it. Turning it really slowly and gently. If I cut it out on the laser, I'm just going to sand it to get the outside dimensions I want. I'm actually going to start with the 240 grit, work my way up through a 600 grit, and then that should probably be enough on these laser cut ones. Really careful not to get your fingers caught in there at all. Sanded down pretty good. Here's the secret right here. The CA glue. I'm not going to turn it on because I don't want this stuff to get whisked into my eyes, but I'm going to coat the whole thing with CA glue. I'm going to do a few coats of this on the inside and out and let it dry on there, and that's what's going to give it its strength. So here's another one, this black walnut. There are 2 actual rings. Pretty thin, probably less than 1/4 inch each, glued together, perpendicular grain. So this one cut on the bandsaw. We're going to turn with the lathe tools. A couple of things about the lathe tools. Don't do this until you've been trained on the lathe. And then second, you want to do some practice cuts before you jump right into your ring. I have it on my wooden dowel here. Headstock, tailstock, I have it pretty well between centers. Safe on there, my tool rests, and then I do a couple of passes around to make sure it's going to clear. I'm going to stop right there. Take the tool rest off. Bring this down out of the way. And again, on my sanding, I'm going to work my way through the grits. I'll start at 150. I'm going to start at 150 and end at 600, get that thing super smooth, and then coat and finish the way I did with CA glue on the last one. Making sure you don't get any CA glue on your fingers. Don't ever hold it and put CA glue on it. You got to have it stationary and then drip the CA glue on there. Make sure it's completely dry before you touch it. Make sure you manage the dust with the vac system so you're not breathing in that dust. I turn it off for the video so it's not so loud, but you really need to manage your dust to have good air quality. I'm really liking the look of this one right here. I like the outside diameter, still a little thick, but better a little thick than broken. So I'm working my way up through the grits on the sandpaper. Be a lot of hand sanding when I'm all done. So now I'm going to start coating it in CA. Again, I am not going to turn it on and I'm not going to touch it when I put the CA glue on here. I'm not going crazy with it. I'm not getting the sidewalls because I don't want to glue it onto the dowel. A few more coats of CA glue on the inside and out without touching it. I'm going to buff it up a little bit, and there it is. Beautiful walnut ring. Should be pretty strong with the cross grain pattern. It's pretty, really pretty grain.